You have seen a pigeon. That's not a guess. If you've ever walked through a city, a park, a train station, or a public square, you've seen thousands of them, strutting, head bobbing, fighting over a dropped chip. It might be the single most familiar wild animal in your entire life. So here's a question that's going to quietly bother you now that it's in your head. Have you ever seen a baby pigeon? Not a slightly small one. An actual baby. Tiny, fluffy, helpless, the way you picture a baby bird. Really think. You haven't. Almost no one has. You've seen tens of thousands of pigeons, and not one single infant among them. And that's genuinely strange, because of what it implies. There are hundreds of millions of pigeons on Earth, packed into exactly the places you spend your time, cities. They breed constantly, all year round, which means right now, your city is full of baby pigeons, nearby, possibly a few meters above your head. So this isn't a rare animal problem. Baby pigeons are everywhere, in staggering numbers, and you've somehow gone your whole life without seeing one. The most ordinary bird in your world, the one you'd swear holds no secrets, is pulling off one of the most complete disappearing acts in the animal kingdom, in plain sight, in the busiest places humans have ever built. This is the story of how that trick works. And it's better than you'd think, because it isn't one clever move, it's a stack of them, layered together into a nearly perfect hiding strategy. It involves a secret city you walk under every day, a bird that grows up in fast forward, and one genuinely bizarre fact I promise you don't know about pigeons. They produce milk. But to find the babies, you first have to understand what a pigeon actually is, because it isn't really a city bird at all. The pigeons flooding your local square have a real name, rock doves, and that word, rock, is the whole key. Because before there were cities, pigeons were cliff birds. They lived on sheer rock faces, in caves and crevices and ledges high on canyon walls, tucking their nests into gaps nothing could reach. Then humans built cities. And to a pigeon, a city is just a canyon made of concrete. A skyscraper is a cliff, a window ledge, the underside of a bridge, a gap beneath the eaves, an air vent, a forgotten rafter. Every one of those is a near-perfect copy of the rocky crevice its ancestors nested in. So a pigeon doesn't nest down in the open park where you'd see it. It nests up, high, tucked away, in the one layer of the city humans built but never actually look at. The ledges and undersides and hidden corners, 3 stories above the sidewalk. That's layer 1 of the trick. The nursery has been directly over your head your entire life, and you've simply never had a reason to look up at it. But a hidden nest alone wouldn't do it. Plenty of birds nest out of sight, and you still see their gawky teenagers bumbling around afterward. So here's the second layer. A baby pigeon stays hidden for an unusually, almost suspiciously long time. A squab, that's the name for a baby pigeon, sits in that tucked-away nest for around 4 to 6 weeks before it ever comes out. Compare that to a typical songbird, often out of the nest in about 2. And in that hidden month, something remarkable happens. The squab goes from a naked, blind, helpless hatchling to a fully feathered, adult-sized bird capable of flight. The entire awkward, obviously a baby stage happens sealed away, indoors. So when a young pigeon finally steps out into the public world, it doesn't look like a baby at all. It looks like every adult around it, which means you have seen young pigeons, thousands of them. You just had no way of knowing, because they did all their growing up in private and walked out the door already grown. And that raises the real question. How does a bird go from a bald little jelly bean to a full-sized adult in barely a month? What are they eating up there? This is my favorite part, and it's the fact that makes people stop scrolling. Pigeons feed their babies milk. Real milk, or as close as a bird can get. It's called crop milk. Both parents, the mother and the father, grow a special lining inside the crop, a pouch in the throat, and it swells with cells packed full of fat and protein. Triggered by the very same hormone that drives milk in mammals, that lining sloughs off into a thick, rich fluid, roughly 60% protein, and the parents pump it straight into the squab's mouth. It even carries antibodies, the way a mother's first milk does. That's how a squab grows so explosively fast, and it's also why pigeons can breed in the dead of winter in a concrete city. They don't wait for a seasonal bloom of insects or seeds to feed their young. They manufacture the baby food inside their own bodies, on demand, in any season. And here's the kicker. Almost no bird on Earth can do this. Out of roughly 10,000 bird species, only pigeons and doves, flamingos, and emperor penguins produce a milk like this, and each evolved it completely separately. Flamingo milk is even bright red. So the gross city pigeon you've dismissed your whole life belongs to a tiny, exclusive club of birds that nurse their young. Now there's an obvious hole in all this, and you may have already spotted it, because you have seen baby birds, fuzzy ducklings paddling behind their mother, fluffy yellow chicks. So why those, and not baby pigeons? The answer splits the entire bird world in two. Ducks and chickens are precocial, their babies hatch ready to go, eyes open, covered in down, walking, swimming, and following a parent around in the open within hours. That's exactly why you see them. Their whole childhood happens out in the world, on the water and in the grass. Pigeons, like most songbirds, are the opposite. They're altricial. Their young hatch naked, blind, and utterly helpless, able to do nothing but lie in a nest and be fed. And a creature that helpless has only one survival option: stay hidden until you're strong enough to face the world. The baby birds you see are the ones born ready. The baby birds you never see are the ones who had no choice but to hide. So there it is, the full method, laid out. Pigeons nest like the cliff birds they secretly still are, high in the hidden canyon of the city you never look up at. Their young stay sealed in that nest for over a month. They're fed a self-made milk that rockets them to adult size before they ever emerge. And so they make their public debut already grown, dissolving instantly into the flock. A hidden stage, a hidden month, and an entrance timed for the exact moment they stop looking like babies. 3 layers, all pushing toward the same result: a nursery of millions, running in the middle of your city, that you were never able to see. And once you see the trick, you can't unsee the bigger version of it. Because it isn't only pigeons. When did you last see a baby sparrow, a baby robin, a baby cardinal? You see the adults constantly. Every one of those is altricial too, hiding its helpless young in a tucked-away nest until they fledge out looking nearly grown. The invisible childhood isn't a pigeon quirk. It's the rule for a huge share of the birds you pass every day, which means your city, or your town, or your own backyard is quietly running hundreds of nurseries you've never once noticed. An entire hidden generation of dozens of species growing up in the gaps and ledges and branches all around you, all the time. Now let me be honest, because you've never seen a baby pigeon is doing a little work as a title. Some people absolutely do. If you keep pigeons, or work in pest control, or have ever had a nest turn up on your balcony or air conditioning unit, you've likely met a squab, and it is a genuinely strange-looking thing, mostly bald, with patchy yellow fuzz and an oversized beak, nothing like the tidy gray adult it becomes. Squab is even eaten as food. It's on menus, so baby pigeons aren't invisible to everyone. It's that the average person in the average city is almost perfectly shielded from ever seeing one by every layer we just walked through. The claim isn't magic. It's just a very, very good hiding strategy that happens to work on you specifically, and that's the part worth carrying with you. We assume we've seen the animals we live beside, that the pigeon, of all things, has nothing left to reveal. It's the wallpaper of city life, barely an animal at all in most people's minds. And yet this bird you've brushed past 10,000 times has a secret cliffside childhood, nurses its young on milk it brews in its own throat, and belongs to a club of only a handful of species on the entire planet. If the humble pigeon has been hiding all of that in plain sight, it's genuinely worth wondering what else is going on in the small, overlooked lives happening all around you, every day, just slightly out of view. So the next time you're standing in a square full of pigeons, watching that gray, head-bobbing crowd squabble over crumbs, look a little closer. Somewhere in that flock are birds only a few weeks old. Birds that were, until very recently, bald and blind and hidden on a ledge above your head, drinking milk. You were never failing to see the babies. You've been seeing them all along. They were never missing. They were just already grown up by the time they let you see them.